Black and Jill Foster here for your next PB&J card class. Today I'll be using Penny Black's Creative Dies Leaves, the Creative Dies, the little butterfly from this set called Tagged, T for Transparent set lace trims, as well as our slapstick cling set diamond pattern. And here's a look at the card we'll be creating, adding lots of dimension and coloring our dies using distress paints. So to begin, I've already die cut my pieces from white cardstock, and I'm going to be using distress paints to color these. So first I'm starting with peeled paint, and I'm just going to dab that right onto all of the leaves. And I want these to have a lot of texture. I don't want them to look perfectly painted. So areas where the paint is thicker and lighter is what I'm going for. And I have two sets of these actually that I die cut. And then to add a little more movement to the leaves and depth of color, I'm taking Mowed Lawn Distress Paint, putting it on my craft mat, and then I'm just dipping that die cut piece into that. And you can see where part of it is covered and part of it isn't. You can keep going back until you're happy with what you've got. And I'll do that same thing again on this piece. Next, I'm taking another piece from that same Creative Dies set from Penny Black, and I've actually cut it apart. Again, die cut that out of white cardstock, and I'm using a Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft Stampers Big Brush pen just to color sort of the stem area. I wanted that to be different than those little berries. So I've colored that in, and now I'm going to use distress paints again. So I'm starting with Barn Door, and I'm just patting that right on there, and the little dauber tip makes it real easy to get it right where you want it. Next is Wild Honey. And then I'm also going to use Mustard Seed just for a little bit brighter color. And then I'm taking Vintage Photo and just patting that on sort of the branch part or the stem of that piece. And then we'll set those aside to dry. Now I'm going to take Picket Fence Distress Paint and Seedless Preserves, and I'm just combining those. I wanted a little bit lighter purple, so I'm just mixing those up. And then I'm using the small butterfly from the Penny Black Creative Die Tagged, and I'm just dipping that right into the paint to color that in. We'll do 3 of those and set them aside to dry. Now I just hand cut this piece that's like the flower pot, and I'm using Cognac Palette ink with an ink applicator tool and a foam pad, starting off of the edge and working my way in, and I'm just covering that entire flower pot, and then I'm going darker on one side, almost like a shadow to the pot. Then using the same ink, I'm going to take Penny Black lace trims just to give that some more texture. And I'll just lay this down on my craft mat and then pick it up with my acrylic block. That helps keep it nice and straight and not get sort of curved when you put it on your block. And then I'm going to stamp this several times to cover the entire pot. So I'll re-ink in between each one. And then I also flip the stamp upside down and it will fit together. Excuse my head there. And if you just keep turning it upside down, right side up, then you can fit it together to cover an entire background. And then I'll get one more time just along the bottom. And I wanted this really to coordinate with the rest of the die cut pieces. So I'm going to take this Vintage Photo Distress Paint and just swipe it right along the edges and then sort of blend it with my finger. And I'm going to apply a heavier application on that left-hand side sort of to go along with that shadow effect. So I'm just putting it on and then sort of sliding it down with my finger. You could do the same thing with a brush. I just feel like I have a little bit more control if I use my finger. Finally, to create a subtle background, I'm going to use Versa Magic in the color of wheat with Penny Black Diamond pattern. And I'm going to stamp this onto white cardstock. And it just provides just a little bit of texture to the back. And you could really do this with any background stamp, and this Versamagic color in wheat is a great color to do that. Now I'm going to take this twine from the Twinery. This is the color Lilac. I love that their twine, they have so many colors, you can always find one to match your project. I've just taped it onto the back and I'm wrapping it around, and then I will tape it again on the other side to the back. And then what I do then is just tie the bow separately and then glue it on to the front so I can get it placed exactly where I want it. And you can see there how that really makes that flower pot pop and it matches the butterfly. So here's another look at that finished project. I just adhered all of the pieces that were die cut using dimensional adhesive, added a sentiment, and glued on that bow using that lilac twine from the Twinery. Thank you so much for watching. For details and more information, visit the Penny Black website, www.pennyblackink.com. And here's a list of all of the Penny Black supplies used.